Namaskar, Jai Shri Krishna. Embossoming Text 1, Text 2, Text 3 and Text 4 of Chapter 4. The appearance of Shri Narada of first canto creation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 1. Vyasa Uvacha Iti Bruvanam Samastuya Muninam Dirgha Satrinam Vruddhaha Kulpatiha Sutam Baha Vruchaha Shaunako Abravit. On hearing Suta Goswami speak thus, Shaunak Muni, who was the elderly learned leader of all the rishis, engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows. In a meeting of learned men, when there are congratulations or addresses for the speaker, the qualifications of the congratulator should be as follows. He must be the leader of the house and an elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Shri Shaunak Rishi had all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Shri Suta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Srimad Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from Shukdev Goswami and also realized it personally. Personal realization does not mean that one should out of vanity attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya, and at the same time he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Shaunak, could estimate the value of the speaker, Shri Suta Goswami, simply by his uttering Yatha Dhitam and Yatha Mati, and therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So the speaker and the audience were bona fide in this meeting where Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. That should be the standard of recitation of Bhagavatam, so that the real purpose can be served without difficulty. Unless this situation is created, Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purposes is useless labor both for the speaker and for the audience. Text 2. Shaunaka Uvacha Suta Suta Mahabhagavada No Vadatam Vara Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yadaha Bhagavana Chukaha. Shaunak said, O Sut Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Shukdev Goswami. Suta Goswami is twice addressed herein by Shaunak Goswami. Out of great joy because he and the members of the assembly were eager to hear the text of Bhagavatam uttered by Shukdev Goswami. They were not interested in hearing it from a bogus person who would interpret in his own way to suit his own purpose. Generally, the so-called Bhagavatam reciters are either professional readers or so-called learned impersonalists who cannot enter into the transcendental personal activities of the Supreme Person. Such impersonalists twist some meanings out of Bhagavatam to suit and support impersonalist views, and the professional readers at once go to the 10th canto to misexplain the most confidential part of the Lord's pastimes. Neither of these reciters are bona fide persons to recite Bhagavatam. Only one who is prepared to present Bhagavatam in the light of Shukdev Goswami, and only those who are prepared to hear Shukdev Goswami and his representative are bona fide participants in the transcendental discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 3. Kasmin yuge pravrutte yama sthane va kena hetuna kutaha संचोदितः कृष्णः कृतवान् संहितां Muniha. In what period and at what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadev. There are so many inquiries by the learned Shaunak Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasadev had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Shudras, and fallen members of the family of twice born men. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Text 4. Tasya putro mahayogi samadruna nirvikalpakah ekanta matirun nidro gudho mudha iveyate. His Vyasadev's son was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. Srila Shukdev Goswami was a liberated soul, and thus he remained always alert, not to be trapped by the illusory energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, this alertness is very lucidly explained. The liberated soul and the conditioned soul have different engagements. The liberated soul is always engaged in the progressive path of spiritual attainment, which is something like a dream for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul cannot imagine the actual engagements of the liberated soul. While the conditioned soul thus dreams about spiritual engagements, the liberated soul is awake. Similarly, the engagement of a conditioned soul appears to be a dream for the liberated soul. A conditioned soul and a liberated soul may apparently be on the same platform, but factually they are differently engaged, and their attention is always alert, either in sense enjoyment or in self-realization. The conditioned soul is absorbed in matter, whereas the liberated soul is completely indifferent to matter. Thank you.